What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings, and making his debut on the Player Ratings is Mr. Brian Daigle. How you doing you excited for your debut?
I'm excited for my debut, but to be with you and the boys, but not for this game.
Yeah.
Not for this game.
Yeah, but look, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with Hugo Lloris. Fives all round from us. In my opinion, I mean, he was hardly called into action in the first half. I mean, Fred did take one shot that he was equal to. Couldn't have done anything for that first goal. It was just a brilliant finish from Ronaldo, wasn't it, that volley? I felt he could have done a bit better with the second goal. But apart from that, I mean, nothing really much to talk about with Hugo.
No, like you said, he didn't have a lot to do, really. It was. We were talking just before about the offside goal. Obviously, it didn't count, but Lloris was just dead to it, and it could have been 4, but thankfully for the offside flag. Yeah, he did have a lot to do, and again, the second goal probably was could have done better, but standard 5 for me.
Yeah, let's move on to Emerson Royale. Fives all round from us. And I mean, I thought that Emerson started the game really strongly, getting up on that right-hand side, providing a really good option. But as the game wore on, he kind of, his influence kind of diminished throughout the game. Defensively, he was been given a bit of a hard time, but I felt like the signs from Emerson are there, especially early on in the game. I thought he looked really strong, but as the game wore on, the team diminished as well as Emerson.
Yep, and I think for me, why I've gone the 5 as well is he spent so much time on the ground. He's got to stop doing that. I know in other countries this happens a lot, but he goes to ground at the widest of touches. He does look, I mean, when you got Davies on the other side, you're going to be the most attacking one. There are glimpses, but yeah, just not the greatest performance from him.
Yeah, and he was just nowhere to be seen for that Cavani goal, wasn't he?
No.
Just literally nowhere to be seen. So you got to mark him down for that. But let's move on to Cuti Christian Romero. Brian gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. And I felt for the most part early on, or definitely in the first half, he dealt with Ronaldo pretty well. I thought, he was doing a good job. But again, with the rest of the team, as Man United grew in influence in that second half, I felt he was struggling big time.
So I've gone 1 point up, and the way I do it is just because the way that guy leads the line. When the ball is coming towards him, he is so calm personified. He is, you can see what the quality he has, and the rest of the defence aren't on the same level as him. So when it's around him, it's incredible to see. He could have done a little bit better with the through ball for the second goal. But yeah, for me, I love it. So I am going to have to give him a 6 for this one.
Let's move over to Eric Dier. 4s all round from us. I mean, it wasn't like the shit show that we've seen from Dier in the past, to be honest. I thought it was okay from Dier. He got very lucky with that goal that was given offside because he was just completely nowhere. Throughout the game, I don't think any of the goals were his fault per se, but I think that he just doesn't instill that much confidence in you. I thought his passing was a bit off, to be honest, and I felt that he probably could have done a lot more in the second half.
Well, you know what I'll say with him, and it's tried and tested. When you put Dier and Davies next to each other, it's a recipe for disaster. Mm-hmm. It really is, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. Them two just can't play next to each other, and you got to see it, especially when we get to talk about Ben Davies. He just does not look the same as when he's got Reguilon next to him, and I think that had a big impact, and I completely agree with the ranking we gave him.
Yeah, Ben Davies, 3s all round from us. What he was doing in this starting lineup, I have no clue. Obviously, for Ronaldo's goal, got completely, out of position, completely done there. It felt like to me that Man United just completely targeted him. Every move they were doing was down his side. They were targeting him, and you know what? If I was them, I would have targeted him too. And I don't know why he was in that starting lineup.
I totally agree. As soon as that team sheet came in, they would have one look and they said, right, anything we were going to do, we're now going down Tottenham's left, because how he can get in over Reguilon, especially when we've been saying earlier how his last 2 games he's been much more like the Reguilon we signed, and I can't think of any footballing reason for him to come out whatsoever. And then when you get Ben Davies in, as I was saying at the game, when you got Ronaldo on you, he's peeled off 1 shot, 1 chance, 1 goal, and Ben Davies was at fault for it, so it has to be a low 3.
Yeah. Ollie SKIPP. Fours all round from us. Probably the lowest rating we've given Skipp, or definitely I've given Skipp so far. Very tough task from him. Obviously, he had Bruno Fernandes to deal with, and he was pulling the strings all afternoon for Manchester United. He was at fault for our second goal. He gave the ball away, and then he was subbed off a few minutes later. So yeah, bad day at the office for Skipp, unfortunately.
Yeah, same again with me. But with Skipp, you know what? We've put so much hope on a 20-year-old and so much pressure on him because he has started so well that he's going to have a game like this or two. And seeing that it is him and he is so important to us right now, it hurts more. Yeah. This game caught up with him. We'll talk about his partner next. They both did have a good game, but we've got so much... If them two don't play, we don't play.
Yeah.
And Skipp got caught out today. But he'll learn from it. And he'll become a stronger player for it.
Definitely. But I do think, he was definitely putting in a lot of effort, a lot of yards, and battling in the middle, that's for sure. Which moves us on to Højbjerg. Fours all round from us, the same as Skipp. And, I think it was a bit similar to Skipp as well, because I felt like he was battling, he was running around a lot, he was trying to G up his teammates and stuff like that. I mean, this guy needs to be our captain, in my opinion. Yep. He needs to be our captain. He's the only one with that sort of leadership mentality within the team. He's the only one, trying to G up the team. If you cast your mind back to the Burnley game, he was the one having a go at Harry Kane for not pressing and stuff like that. So if he's got the stature to give it to Harry Kane, the guy got to be captain, in my opinion. But in terms of his performance, all in all, it wasn't a great performance. I thought that for the second goal, as I said for Skipp before, he lost the ball, but it was actually Højbjerg's bag pass that kind of resulted in him losing the ball. So Højbjerg, that was a bad moment for him, and all in all, he didn't really do anything to influence the game.
Do you know what? It hurts me so much to give this man a 4 because I absolutely, I love this guy. I think I completely agree with you. He is the Tottenham captain of the future. I'd even do it now. But he had a bad game. Do you know what? We saw in that interview after that. I think he's lost his temper a bit because he is one that will always give 120%.
Wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he?
Exactly. And he tells it as it is. And the two we just spoke about, you cannot fault them for their effort. If you know what, we've been talking a lot about their dedication, commitment, passion and everything. These two you can't. And they're just getting run ragged by not being supported by the team. And it's so hard for me to give Højbjerg a 4, but I'm going to have to stick with it.
Yeah. Giovanni Lo Celso, fours all round again from us for Gio, given his big opportunity in the team as a number 10. And he just didn't take it. And, every time Lo Celso gets given an opportunity in a league game to strut his stuff, to see what he can do, he just doesn't take it. He just does not take it every single time. And we all know the qualities that he has, because I think Giovanni Lo Celso is a very, very good footballer. But unfortunately, if you don't take your chances, this is what happens. And he was a poor outing from him. There was a moment where, Son was through on goal and he could have played Son in right at the beginning of the second half. Didn't play the ball, or were not a good enough ball anyway. And someone in a number 10, he needs to be impacting the game. He needs to be pulling the strings, and he just wasn't doing that.
Again, completely agree. Lo Celso did so well against Burnley. We're like, that's the Gio. And every time he does it in a non-Premier League game, it's like, okay, this is what we want to see. And I actually quite welcomed it, seeing him on the team sheet ahead of Ndombele. I thought, okay, let's do it. But we've got two Lo Celsos. We've got the Gio Lo Celso plays for Argentina and plays to his style of football. And we have the Gio Lo Celso that comes back to Tottenham and has to fit around Tottenham. And like you said, his passing yesterday, he's another one that will put in the work. But you are there to create and put in those final balls, and they were not there yesterday. They were not there, and it's another opportunity blown for him. Yeah, absolutely spot on. This brings us on to Lucas Moura, 6s all round, and as you can see, that is our highest rating so far. And I'm just going to say it now, spoiler alert, it's going to be our highest rating today. But Lucas Moura, where am I going to start with Lucas Moura? Because Lucas was the only one in that team that was getting the ball, having a go at Man United, trying to run at them, trying to create something with intensity. And he gets hooked. He gets hooked at 8 minutes into the second half, being our best player. And we're going to get into Nuno in a bit, but I just thought it was disgraceful. How can you take off Lucas Moura, our best player, the only one trying to take it to Man United? Yes, albeit, there was nothing at the end of his runs, but he was the only one trying. And that's all we can ask for, you know what I mean? Exactly. Look, with Lucas Moura, what you got to remember with him as well is he may not. What he's trying to do may not come off every time, but he will always run his feet into the ground. He will run through brick walls. He will try everything, and people do get frustrated because sometimes it doesn't come off. But it's because he's trying to be creative. It's because he's trying to get the ball forward rather than side, side, back, back. And there were a couple of little. Do you remember that nutmeg flick he did? That was my God, it was incredible. And he tries. And do you know what? I love Lucas Moura. He's when you talk about, again, I'll put him in the bracket with Skip and Højbjerg with his commitment, his passion, his desire, and like we said, we spoke on it. That substitution did not go down well. Anyone else but him, and I don't think they would have got that reception. Again, we just miss that cutting edge with him because he's the one guy that can pick the ball up and actually take on players and push the ball forward. And yeah, I agree with the six, and I am disgusted by the fact that he was even thought of for a sub.
Yeah, which moves on to Heung-min Son. We give him a 5 all round. He was another one that was putting in a lot of effort and definitely down that left-hand side trying it. Well, he was playing a lot, quite kind of more centrally, but he did drift off to the left as well. He was trying to find those pockets of spaces. He was looking. He was actually in really good positions quite a few times. If Lo Celso or if some other players would have played him in, we could have found some more joy. His quality on the ball was lacking a little bit, I felt, with Heung-min Son. And it's just a shame because everyone knows how much we love Heung-min Son, and it just wasn't the best display from him.
Yeah, so you look at Heung-min Son, he had that one shot in the second half that was off target because we didn't have a shot on target, which 9 times out of 10, at least Heung-min Son is making the goalkeeper work. He does run himself, but he runs himself into the ground. But there's, like we said, we are so static and so lifeless that when he's running around, there's no end product for him. So he does, and it's like the last couple of games, he has not been himself at all. He just doesn't look up for it. We know he loves us just as much as we love him. But there's a little spark missing, which with Son, you can get back in a heartbeat. You can get back in a heartbeat. We were at the Aston Villa game when he ran the show. And, poor performance from him, but we know he will bounce back.
Yeah. And last from the starting 11, Harry Kane, 3s all round from us. Maybe a tad harsh in terms of the other ratings that we've given, but Harry Kane, I actually thought he started off pretty well, pressing from the front. He looked like he mean business from the beginning, but vanished out the game. He vanished out the game, didn't impact anything. After his kind of pressing and hard work from the beginning, I felt he became a bit of a passenger, and again, just didn't do anything to impact the game.
Well, the one that really springs to my mind is when it ricocheted off a Man U player. He was one-on-one from about just inside the halfway line, and he started running, burying it on goal. And normally Harry Kane's coming in, curling that bottom corner or whatever. He didn't even try to take a shot. He waited till 3 people were around him and then tried a hopeful ball. When he gets into the final third, that's when Harry Kane used to come alive. He's now becoming static. Yeah. He's running around onto the wing. He is. Don't get me wrong. He's putting a bit of effort in. He is trying, but this is Harry Kane. This is Tottenham's second all-time goal scorer. This is the England captain. And when the game isn't coming to you, you go and get the game and have an impact. Not saying it will always work, but you attempt. Yeah. But his attempt isn't getting hold of the ball. It's running aimlessly somewhere. And even when we did sometimes get into the box, he was like 15 yards behind. And it's like, what are you doing, sir? It's not getting better for him, is it? It's not getting better at all. I can't see where it turns.
Yeah, that's the starting 11. In terms of the substitutes, Bergwijn came on 54 minutes. I can't really remember anything that he did during the game. Do you remember anything? Fouls. Yeah. Ndombele came on for Skip on the 66th minute mark. I mean, anything from there in for you for Ndombele?
I actually cannot remember a single thing
me neither. Did. And Dele Alli came on the 73rd minute. I mean, that's another baffling substitution. I mean, I get why maybe Lo Celso had to be taken off, but you should have maybe taken off Lo Celso when you took off Skip and brought on Ndombele then. Yep.
I mean, also, the thing I remember Dele do was those 2 air shots. 2 corners came in. He did a nice little ballerina pill away, did a nice spin. But yeah, he just added nothing. He ran around. That's what he does now, isn't it? He ran around, so that's it.
Yeah. And Nuno. Nuno, we gave a 2s to all round. Where do we really start with Nuno? Because, wow. Basically, let's start off with the starting lineup. Ben Davies starting at left back. disgrace.
Yep.
How do you start Ben Davies at left back when, first of all, Reguilon's been one of our best players this season? Yes, I know he made a mistake in the West Ham game to give away that goal and give away that corner. But ultimately, he's been one of our best players. In what world do you think starting Ben Davies up against Cristiano Ronaldo, Edinson Cavani, Bruno Fernandes is a good idea? In what world is that a good idea? I have no clue. In terms of the other players, Giovanni Lo Celso starting instead of Tanguy Ndombele. In hindsight, it's a bad decision. But when that decision is made, you can live with it because he's a very good football player. You can live with that. So I'm not going to mark him down too much on that one. In-game management, taking off Lucas Moura. Why? Why do you take off Lucas Moura when he is literally the only one that has got the guile and got the creativity and got the nous that is getting the ball in the middle of the park and striving forward and trying to make something happen? He was the only one doing it with any sort of success. So why would you take him off? It makes no sense to me. Where else do I go with his in-game management? Is just so shocking week in, week out. I mean, I don't know how much longer this guy can last in the job for, but at the end of the day, what's the alternative option? Ryan Mason? I don't know where we go from here. Bringing on Dele Alli with 73rd minute. Like, Dele Alli has produced nothing for us this season. We're in search for a goal. We're 2 or 3-0 down, and he brings on Dele Alli. And basically, he's not bringing on Dele Alli because he thinks Dele Alli can change something. He's bringing on Dele Alli as like a last Hail Mary. Just go in there and see what you can do, pretty much. There's no thought to anything that he's done. He's got such bad decision making, it's a joke.
Well, you got to look at it. You got to remember as well, the other 5 subs were defenders.
Yeah.
Apart from Galini, obviously, there was Doherty, Tanganga. They're not going to cut Sanchez, Roden. They're not going to come.
Bring on Reguilon.
Well, this is the thing as well. What baffles me with the Ben Davies is for the last 3 or 4 games we've been bombing that ball on the left wing, which the players been learning. All right, they're not accomplishing it every time. And that's what, because we want to use Reguilon's pace, and then we don't play him in one of the biggest games.
Do you think if Reguilon started, they target the left back?
No.
Exactly.
And I think Dier plays better.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. And you bring in Ben Davies for Manchester United home, such a pivotal game, for never mind Tottenham, for him. And if he wants to succeed in a job, you don't make these crazy decisions in such a big game. Ben Davies, Jose Mourinho did it last year when we played Liverpool away. He started Ben Davies, and I thought that was crazy then. And Ben Davies got found out that night as well. And I don't understand the logic. I don't understand it. Grandpa says it's because of his height, which, you said you could kind of understand. But I can't. I just can't.
I can understand Grandpa's thinking behind it, because compared to Reguilon, let's face it, there is a... But what Reguilon may lack in height, he makes up in creativity, he makes up in pace, he makes up in positioning. So it's a lesser of 2 evils. Or, sorry, with Davies, it's the worst of the 2 evils. And yeah, you look at it, the game management is just atrocious. Atrocious. It's like literally, we've had this problem as Tottenham, not just with Nuno, where we're reactive rather than proactive, and it's happened again. And like I said, Dele Alli coming on offers nothing. Ndombele and Lo Celso, they can't even play in the same team, so that sub's coming with one of them's on, and it's like you just make these the most ridiculous times. And yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get anything that's happening. But you can't blame him because of squad depth.
Yeah, the chants ringing around the stadium about you don't know what you're doing after that substitution, which was spot on and quite warranted. Big boos after that substitution as well. The tide is turning with the fan base at Tottenham, and I think everyone's just had enough, to be honest. And where does Nuno go from here? Because I don't know if he can turn it around. I've got no belief that he can turn it around. But if we do sack him, where do we go?
Yeah, this is a yearly question for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like where do we go? We were speaking earlier. You look at it. We can't attract the managers we could have straight after Poch.
Yeah.
We can't attract Harry. People saying Harry Redknapp. He's in retirement. He's living his life with Sandra. He's not coming out of bloody retirement.
And he ain't working with Daniel Levy again, I'll tell you that as well.
Exactly. And this is the thing, it's like literally all these managers know it. Who's going to come? Who is it? We cannot attract a top-class manager that can take Tottenham where they want to go. And if we can attract them, what will happen is they'll be given false promises and they won't be able to get where they want to go to take the club.
And then in a year's time, we'll be in exactly the same position.
And then we would have offered people more new contracts because we can't get rid of them. So let's just keep the deadwood because then we've got squad. It's the life and times of Tottenham.
Yeah, the sorry state of affairs at our beloved football club. But that is the player ratings. Big up everyone for coming to watch today. Put your ratings in the comment section below and give us your thoughts on our ratings as well. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
Leave you out.